Okay, hello. This video is just going to be a quick one that I'm just going to go over this PDF seller's guide that you can download and just sort of what my intentions were when making it. So the story behind my experience is when I bought my property, this wasn't necessarily a selling experience, but a buying experience. I didn't get really the information that I should have when I was buying it, and it just sort of led to the whole situation being super stressful. And since I've been a real estate agent, I've noticed that there's not a lot of people that are, or agents that are sort of willing to take the time to sit down and give someone information before they sign something or make any decisions. And I sort of wanted to be the person who does that, because I don't want someone to sort of go through what I've and I just want people to be able to have a stressless sale and experience with a real estate agent. So that was sort of my intention with this, and it sort of led to all these videos. So we'll go through this quickly. So that's just the main page. So this is obviously, that's sort of the story, because selling your property is one of the biggest decisions you'll ever make. It's obviously your biggest asset, and obviously you don't want it to be stressful. So that was sort of my idea here. So this one here, this is just what to expect during your first meeting. So this is going to be obviously when the real estate agent first comes to your property to give you a sort of a property assessment. So they'll do the property assessment. So we'll just walk through, have a look, like what is the property like? Obviously, we've never been here, we don't know. So we're going to go through, we're going to sort of ask some questions. What do you like most about the property? Because obviously what you like most about it, chances are that's sort of what we're going to try and do the whole. When we take people through, we're going to try and highlight all that stuff, because obviously if you like it, chances are they're going to like it as well. Obviously go through the details, including the features, conditions, any recent upgrades or renovations. My advice is don't do any extra renovations. It's not going to increase the value of your property. Obviously, quick lick of paint, different story. So we're going to provide you with a market analysis, so a CMA, which I've made a video on what that is and how that is. So pretty much we're just going to compare some properties that have recently sold that are similar and some properties that are for sale currently, and we're going to sort of compare them to your property, and then we're going to come up with approximate sales price. We're also going to discuss some sales strategies, the best strategies for marketing and selling your property, including pricing, timing, and any necessary preparation like staging or repairs. So like, big hole in the wall, something like that, that obviously needs to be fixed. If the house is empty, it is nice to have it staged. It is worth the money. I recently had a property that sold that we staged. It was about $3,500 to have it staged, but I definitely think that it probably added $10,000 to $15,000 to the sales price of it. So it is something that is definitely worth doing if the property is empty and you want to get the top dollar for it. Obviously pricing, that's obviously going to be discussed in the market analysis. And timing, not necessarily the biggest thing around here, but obviously if your house is near the beach, it's going to be best to be sold when it's warm, because it's sort of, people go, oh, this house is nice, it's close to the beach. But saying that, if it's cold, they're still going to think that. We're going to go over the cost and commissions. So we're going to explain the commission structure and any other costs associated with selling the home. So if there's any advertising, any other further marketing, any cost for photos, any other costs that are going to come out of the blue. In that first meeting, you're obviously going to discuss the next step forward. So we're going to outline the next steps, which may include signage, a listing agreement, which is the Form 6, and scheduling a professional photographer to come and take photos of the property. And then from then, we obviously open homes, inspections, and stuff like that. So this one here, how to expect realistic expectations for pricing and timeline. So pretty much the biggest thing here is understanding the market. So we're going to start by reviewing the CMA that we've provided. Obviously, if we go to the house and it's not what we expected, the CMA may not be entirely correct, which obviously we'll discuss that. We'll discuss that when we're there. So we're going to understand the market, see what's for sale, see what the stock is like. Obviously, if you have a house, Sandstone Lakes is a very good example. There's always heaps of houses for sale there, and a lot of them are all the same. So if you've got a house it's the same as 5 others that for sale, it's not that scarcity. So you obviously can't put a ridiculous price on it compared to other ones. So that's what I mean by understanding the market. If you've got something that's super rare that people want, like a house on Sylvan Beach Esplanade, for example, there's scarcity to that. You can put a big price on that and people are going to buy it. So that's what I mean by understanding the market. Considerations for the property's condition. Obviously, the condition of the property is going to going to obviously affect the price. That's pretty obvious. So we've also got to take into those considerations when we're obviously pricing the property. So like if it's in very bad condition, obviously compared to the one that's exactly the same around the corner, it's obviously not going to be worth as much. So that's where we might talk about, hey, this house might need a paint, so on and so forth. Anything further than that, I'm going to say is not worth it. Replacing a kitchen or doing a bathroom, for the amount it's going to add to the value, it's going to set you back more. So if your bathroom is going to cost you $15,000, it might add $5,000 to the property, and chances are the person who buys it isn't going to like it. So my advice is not to do anything more than a lick of paint, unless there's obviously something major like timber beams that are rotted out, retaining walls that are got rotted out beams or something like that. But I wouldn't go spending huge money doing your house up to sell it, because you're not going to get your money back, and it's going to be a stressful time. Your agent, trust your agent's experience in making your property more appealing to buyers. The main thing there is obviously the real estate agent. This is their job. They should know what they're doing. I'm not going to say they all know what they're doing, but they should know what they're doing. Board, and obviously be open with them and discuss, hey, I don't think if you think something they've recommended isn't a good idea, that's fine. Just let them know. But do take their advice on board, because sometimes it could be a difference between $5,000-$10,000 just from obviously making the entrance more appealing, maybe cleaning some mess up you have, like giving the house a lick of paint, which is obviously the further end of it. But just simple stuff like making sure you like, if they say make sure your house is clean, the grass is mowed, all that sort of stuff, obviously take that on board, because it is going to make a difference at the end of the day. Factor in flexibility. So have a target price and timeline, but be ready to adjust based on the market. So we might go, hey, this house is worth $1 million and we're going to sell it in 30 days. But obviously we're not the people buying it. You're not the person buying it. So if it comes to the point and it's been a couple of weeks and we haven't had a lot of interest, just be prepared to obviously change your timeline, drop the pricing, whatever you need to do. But obviously, you always got to have some flexibility there. The first price you put the property at is not always going to be what it sells at, especially if you're trying to go for absolute top dollar. Obviously, if you put it on the market at the middle range, you're not going to have to worry about that. But if you're going for top dollar, which everybody is, you just may have to be prepared. There may have to be price drops. Obviously, not massive, but normally that is the case. Obviously, plan a buffer, so sales can take longer than expected. Because obviously, with a sale, you're waiting for the right person to come. That right person can come today, they can come tomorrow, they can come in 3 weeks, they can come in 3 months. So don't always have a super rigid plan, because that's not always going to work. And obviously, you have to leave a bit of room for negotiating as well. So if you say your top dollar's $1 million, and that's what you want for your property, give yourself a bit of okay, so what's the lowest I'm going to take? You don't obviously have to tell people that. But just have that in your head, so then when the time comes, you're not caught by surprise when someone tries to lower you down. Just always have sort of a bit of a backup plan, and obviously collaborate with your agent to sort of set some milestones. This here, like I'm going to have on this page here, you're going to have on this classroom, you're going to have like a seller's timeline, like a calendar. Which you'll be able to download, and then you'll be able to use no matter who you use. So you'll be able to collaborate with them, and obviously put it in your little calendar. I might make like an app or something as well that you can use for like on Google Sheets or something that you can put in, where you can go, okay, this is when it's getting signed, this is when the photos are getting taken, this is when it's going to be listed online, this is when first open home is, second open home, then you're going to have your meeting with the agent to discuss if there need to be like any adjustments or something like that. So there'll be like a little calendar that you can have that you can use for that. So this one here, just factors that affect the property's value. So it's all pretty straightforward, but I'll just quickly skim over it. So obviously location obviously affects the price. So if you're in Caboolture, it's obviously going to be different than Bribie Island. So even on Bribie Island, it's different suburb to suburb. So Warham's worth more. Obviously location wise, if you're closer to the beach, it's worth more. So on the canal, anything like that. So obviously the location that factors in massively to the price. Condition, that's pretty obvious. Obviously, a well-maintained property has a high value. There's no arguing with that at all. Size and layout. Obviously, the size of the house, size of the block, and the layout affects the price as well. Obviously, the bigger the property is, the more it's worth. But not just that, the layout also makes a difference. If your house is not that big but has an awesome layout, like some of the newer properties, it's obviously going to be worth a bit more than something that's super closed up that doesn't have a good layout. Amenities, obviously, like pools and parking, obviously boost the appeal, especially like sheds and stuff like that. That obviously raises the value of the property humongously. Economic conditions, obviously, if the rates are high and people don't have a lot of money, that's obviously going to affect it as well. Like if the rates are low and plenty of people buying, that's good. Legal and zoning factors, this is not something you're probably going to have to worry about. But if you got a block on Sylvan Beach Esplanade, it's zoned for higher than just a normal block in the middle of nowhere. So if someone's going to buy an apartment or something like that, or buy it to build an apartment, that's where that's going to come in. But for most people, that's not obviously going to matter. Environmental factors, obviously scenic areas boost the property's value. So if you're at the beach next to the park, that's obviously going to make the price go up. That's pretty obvious. Yeah, so just some home staging tips. These are all pretty straightforward, but sometimes it's not. It's not obviously, people don't put enough effort into this. So these are the main things you want to do before the photos, before the open homes, before all the inspections. So declutter and depersonalize. So remove clutter, have a clean space so it feels spacious for buyers. Rearrange your furniture. So you might not have the furniture set up in the most appealing way because obviously it may not be functional, but you want to sort of set it up so it maximizes the space and highlights all the points that you want people to look at, even if it's not functional living. Like this photo, for example, it's not really functional because chances are the TV is actually behind the couch. But for the photo, it looks good. Clean your house, obviously, to the best of your abilities. Just like dust, vacuum, not obviously go over the top, but have it nice and clean. No one wants to walk into a property that's covered in dust and mold. Obviously, they're going to think the price of the house in their head is going to go from here to here. If that's the case, use neutral colors. That's obviously just wide range of buyers. Create a blank canvas and allow them to imagine their own space. Don't go crazy and try and be an interior designer and use leopard print and all sorts of stuff like that. Just keep it simple. If you're going to get it, you're going to get someone to come and stage the place for you, they're obviously going to choose all the right things. So that's not something you have to worry about. But if it's your property, just keep it simple. Don't go overboard with the colors. Just keep it nice and simple. Repairs and maintenance, obviously, fix anything that people are gonna see, like right off the bat. So holes in the wall, leaky facets, chipped paint, anything like that. Just fix them so when they go looking around, they don't see that. Because the more things they see that are wrong with the property, the more and more the price drops in their head, and the less interested they are. So obviously, highlight any of the key features. So if there's anything that you think in the property that is a key feature that you, when you bought the house, you seen it and went, wow, I'm buying the house for this. Highlight that, like go crazy with it and just make it stand out so much. Obviously, so they can obviously go, oh, like this has a fireplace and its wall and the like this photo, for example, and the timber beams on the roof and everything like that. Like you want to highlight that in the photos, and obviously when we're doing the inspections as well. You want to maximize the lighting. The difference between having a house that's dark and a house that's light is massive. It makes the rooms look bigger. It obviously makes it, if it's dark, it looks dark and dingy. So you want it to have all the windows open, as much light as possible. It makes the house look bright and inviting. When the lights are off and it's dark, it feels a bit, it just doesn't feel nice. And obviously the main thing is to enhance your curb appeal. So the first impression counts. So when someone pulls up to the property or drives past, the first thing they see is the lawn and the front door and the front of the house. So if you have rubbish all out the front, your front lawn's not cut, the garden looks awful, the front of the house has shoes everywhere at the front, stuff like that. That's something you just clean that up. Like make it have the very first impression that someone has on the property. Make that good. So have the curb appeal as best as you possibly can. So marketing your property. So this one here is just going to go over timing, marketing and pricing, professional photos, maximum exposure. So optimal timing. So we're obviously going to analyze what's going on in the market to get the right timing for you. But normally the right timing is now. There's no time like now. If you wait, your house might be worth an extra $5,000 in a year, but you don't know. So if you want to move and you want to sell your house, just take the leap and do it now. There's really, at the moment, there's really no right time. Obviously, if your house is on the beach, the summertime is going to be better. But realistically, there's no time. So pretty much targeted marketing. So this year, you pretty much identify so we're going to identify the buyers that are in our system, which it automatically does, and they're going to get a targeted email. Realestate.com also does this if you use the Premier Plus advertising, which we include in our free marketing. So that there will have a look at all the people that have been looking at properties similar to yours over the past X amount of months, and on the after the first week of the campaign on realestate.com, they'll all get sent an e-brochure specifically of your property in their inbox. So that's how that's done. And obviously, competitive pricing. You obviously want it to be competitive and not just some ridiculous price that doesn't make sense. People nowadays are a bit more aware of what the pricing of stuff actually is because of the internet and realestate.com and how they all have the pricing and stuff like that. As much as it's not super accurate, it gives people a bit of an idea. And people can go on realestate.com and sort of compare stuff for themselves, which if they are buying, they normally will do that. Gone are the days well before my time where the internet didn't exist and you just had to trust a real estate agent. You can do your own research now, and people will. So if your house isn't priced correct, people are going to know, and you really notice that when it comes to the open homes and inquiries and stuff like that. Like there'll be no one turning up at the open home, there'll be no inquiries, but as soon as you get that price spot on, that people know is the right price, it'll just be bang. Like there'll be people coming through the door, phone calls all the time. So if you want to go for the crazy price, you can obviously have a crack at it. The Premier Plus advertisement ad rotates to the top every 14 days, so you can obviously adjust the price every 14 days without losing your spot. You haven't just wasted time. The professional photography. So obviously the first strong first impression. So the professional photography is going to highlight your property's best features, but obviously to do that, it has to be set up correctly. So obviously that's where we're gonna, in the previous slide where we talk about setting the property up correct, we're gonna do that, because then that's gonna make the photos can only be as good as the property. So if you've done a great job, the photos are going to be great, but if you haven't, they're obviously going to be good, but they're not going to be as good as they could be. So for maximum exposure, so obviously online listing, that's going to be realestate.com. That's the only thing that matters. You can waste your money on domain, all those other ones, but realestate.com is the main website that everyone goes on to see it. So that's the only thing you need to worry about. It obviously goes across all these other websites, but the only thing that matters is realestate.com. They have the market share. Just like if you're selling a car, you're going to go on car sales. You're not going to waste your time advertising it on some other website. Obviously we're going to have some eye-catching signage. So we just use a stock signage. It's obviously bright. It's got our nice blue colors, but we can obviously use the signboards that have the photos on it and everything like that. If you do want, obviously for an extra cost, but the standard signage is more than enough to draw people's attention. We do also do advertisement on social media. So normally it just goes on our agency website, but there is the option obviously to upgrade to social media advertisement, which will target. So with Facebook, you can pretty much have it. So your advertisement targets people that are looking to move to Bribie Island. Facebook knows everything about you. It knows that what you're doing. So it will know those people that are doing that, and it will specifically target your property to them on their Facebook feed. Obviously, that's a bit more of a cost. You're probably looking between $20 to $50 a day for something like that. Obviously, you don't run it all the time. You could do that in the first week or whatever. That's just an extra thing. Open homes, obviously, if you can, if possible, like we're doing open homes every weekend. Obviously, if it's a rental, the tenant has to agree to it. So 10 times out of 10, can't do open homes when it's a rental. It's a holiday rental, you obviously can, but you just obviously got to book the time out to do it. If it's owner occupied or empty, we're doing open homes every single weekend whenever we can, because that's going to get as many people through the door as we can. Even if they're not the right people, it's still people coming through the door, and they might not have thought they were buying this house. They might not have even inquired on it, but they've come because they had nothing to do. And next thing they're buying it. So it's open homes must. If you can do it, must have. So this is just a bit on the realestate.com ad that we offer. So pretty much this is the main marketing thing that you have to do, get the maximum exposure. Pretty much the days of putting your ad in the newspaper are gone. That's no point. You're not gonna if you put your ad in the newspaper, the only people that are gonna see it are people that are sitting there reading the newspaper. Which if they're reading the newspaper, chances are they're not buying a house. Also, like some agents might offer, you put it on the local signage around here on the side of the building, so on and so forth. Sure, that's good. People see it, but do the right people see it? Not really. It's extra money that you didn't need to spend. Chances are the person who's going to buy your property doesn't live on Bribie Island. So if it's in a Bribie Island newspaper or on a billboard on Bribie Island, then what's the point? All that's doing is getting the agent more exposure at your cost. So pretty much the main thing for the basic advertising that we shouldn't say basic, sorry, for the standard free advertising that we offer is the premium plus marketing. It is the big ad you'll see on realestate.com. If you look down the bottom here, you'll see that there's two different ads. So there's the Premier Plus ad and there's the basic advertising there. The Premier Plus advertising gets you a nice big ad about it, top of the page on day one, and the ad refreshes every 14 to 15 days until sold. This package also offers feature like pre-marketing strategies, ebook, and listing boost. Pretty much with the e-brochure, as I said previously, after the first week, it's going to send out an e-brochure to every person that realestate.com thinks would be interested in your property. And that obviously is based off what they've been looking at. So that's good. And it also does that further down the track as well, I think at week 4. So that's quite a lot of people that see it. The biggest thing about this advertisement, obviously, top of the page, that is the most important thing, and that it refreshes every 14 to 15 days. So that means, so it starts at number 1, it obviously goes down organically like anything, and then at day 14, 15, boom, it's number 1 again. And it does that until it's sold. So it's not once or twice. So every 14, 15 days, it's number 1. So it's good because you can have it. If you do want to get the maximum price for it, you can start at that price that might be unrealistic. And then just before it rotates again, we'll change it. And then you have a brand new listing there. It looks brand new. People don't know because it's rotated back to the top with the next price. And you can keep doing that if you want to. But the main thing is obviously it's always going to be on the first couple of pages because it's always going to be rotated every 14 to 15 days, which is the biggest thing. Because if you got to add online, it doesn't matter how good it is. If no one sees it, it may as well not be there. So if your agent isn't using the Premier Plus, I'll be looking for somebody else. You can see here, there's an ad here. It was put up on the exact same day as this one here. So this one here has been put up same day. So this is the top of page 1. This one here's a brand new listing. It's on page 9. So when was the last time you went on realestate.com and went to page 9? So that person there, their property's not even being seen. So sure, you might save a couple of bucks, but that's the difference between the price and the cost. So the price is low, the cost ends up being more. So you might get that advertisement for cheaper. Obviously, the cost in the long run is going to be more because no one's seen your property. So at the end of the day, you've got to think about that. It's always good to go with the best type of advertising here. This is just a step by. This is a quick step by step process of listing your property with our agency. I'll probably make another video that goes into a little bit more detail here, but I'll just go over this quickly. Obviously, you're going to have initial consultation, which I discussed earlier, which we're going to go over all the goal settings, timelines, and valuation and stuff like that. Property assessment and pricing. So we're obviously going to assess the property and give you a price. Next thing from that, before we go any further, we're going to give you a listing agreement, which is the Form 6. So I've made a full video on that, so you can watch that and have a look and see what it is, what you're signing, what you're getting yourself into. Because chances, like a lot of agents don't explain that before they get you to sign it. But once that's signed, you can get prepared for the sale. So we're going to get staging, repairs done, and arrange professional photography. Once that's all done, we're going to tailor a marketing strategy. It depends on what we've agreed to, obviously. So if we're going to go with the basic marketing strategy, that works the best. We're going to go, obviously, window cards. We're going to have flyers that we can hand out. We're going to have it on our website, and we're going to have that Premier Plus advertisement on realestate.com, and we're going to have a nice for sale sign up front. And then obviously on all those across the websites that it's on, we're also going to advertise the open homes. When we do the showings, obviously we're going to handle all the showings. You obviously don't have to talk to any of the people coming through. We'll handle all that. So we'll get all the open homes, all the inspections, all that sort of thing. We're going to handle that. And then obviously once we get some offers, we're going to review that form, which I have made a video about that offer form. So we're going to review that offer form. Then I'm going to obviously present that offer to you. And then we're going to negotiate back and forwards to try and get you the best price and best terms. And then obviously once that's all done, we're going to organise a contract. So we'll get the contract already, and pretty much organise all the other inspections that come beyond that. So there'll be obviously pest and building inspections, all that sort of stuff. So we'll liaise with the buyers to sort all that out, and we'll help you through all the paperwork through closing. And obviously, if you do need recommendations to a conveyancer, we can do that. There's a few on Bribie. Any of those are great to use, and they'll obviously help you through all the paperwork that's needed in the conveyancing. Obviously, I can't make any videos about them, sadly. So I've tried to make this as best as informational as I can, but there is some stuff that I'm not going to be able to cover, which is going to be the conveyancing stuff. And then obviously, once the sale's complete and the documents are all signed and the ownership transfer is all done by the conveyancer, then we've got the finalising the sale and settlement. And we can obviously help you moving forward if you're looking to buy a house or you need help moving out or just anything like that. Like we're the sales agent's here to help you every step of the way from start to finish and even after it's finished. So this is how the agent's going to help you evaluate and negotiate offers. So when offers come in, we'll review each one with you. So legally, we have to present every offer to you, even if it's stupid. So every offer that we're going to bring to you, obviously, it's not always going to be what you want, but we put it to you anyway. And we'll obviously give you some sort of advice on what we think is. We're obviously not going to give advice on whether you should accept it or not, but we are just going to say, "Oh, look, this is a good offer," so on and so forth. Or if it's not, we're obviously going to tell you. Yeah, we're going to help you to make an informed decision. That's the correct term. Okay, so strategies for getting the best price. So obviously it depends on a lot of things. So pretty much when we get an offer, we're always going to come back with a counter offer, and then sometimes it just bounces back and forwards until we come to a agreement on a price. The best case scenario is normally a multiple offer form, or multiple offer situation. So with that, we're going to obviously have multiple offers, and with that, we can then present the buyers with a multiple offer form which then they have to present their best and final offer, and there's no negotiating with it. So pretty much, let's say we've got 5 people that have all put an offer in. We're not allowed to tell any of the other people what anyone's offered. So we'll pretty much present them with a form and another offer letter, and we'll just say, look, you got, we'll have a date on it, say you got till Wednesday to put your best offer forward. So all those 5 people are going to put their best offer forward, and obviously whoever has the best, or whoever you choose to have the best offer wins pretty much. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the best dollar value. It obviously has to be the best terms and dollar value for you, because someone might offer the best dollar value, but it's subject to sale, where someone might offer $10,000 less, but it's a cash sale. So you're obviously going to go with the cash. So that's it. Obviously, the highlight and unique features and market analysis. That's obviously I've already covered that in the previous slide. So what happens during the closing process? So in Queensland, the settlement process finalises the agreement between the buyer and the seller, involving these steps, right? So pretty much once the contract's all signed and we've sort of gotten past the pest and building and the finance, and it's now unconditional. So obviously we've got the final walkthrough. This will just be like the final settlement, the final inspection before the settlement, just to make sure the property is in the same condition it was when they viewed it. This is pretty standard. The reason behind this is you just don't know what people can do. So if you looked at a house a month ago, you never know, someone might have trashed it, and then you've moved in, and yeah, it could be all sorts of, you just don't know. So that's the pre-settlement inspection. So meet conditions. So any conditions that are on the contract obviously have to be met within those certain days. If they're not, let's say John has 30 days to get finance, and by the 29th day he hasn't got it, his solicitor will contact your solicitor and obviously renegotiate the deal. If you don't agree to give a extension and he doesn't meet them 30 days, you can terminate the contract without any repercussions. There's also the legal documents, which obviously will be done by the conveyancer. So obviously I can't go into those details. Pretty much obviously the inspections for the pest and building and any possible negotiating repairs, anything like that. So obviously we'll go through that. Those will have to be done. There may have to be some appraisals done by the lender if they're going to get finance. So there'll also be an inspection from the bank within those 15 days. And then obviously on settlement day, everything's signed. On the solicitor will give you a time. On the day, they'll give you a time pretty much of when it's going to settle. On that time, right on the dot, they use a system called PEXA. You'll get your money instantly, straight away. All the money will be in your account or wherever it needs to go. And then from that minute there, the property is now sold and is somebody else's, and we can then hand the keys over. So some post-sales considerations. Obviously, coordinate with your agent to schedule a final walkthrough to ensure everything's all how it should be. Discuss any key handover procedures to ensure everything is ready for the buyer on settlement dates. Obviously, we're going to need all the keys prior to settlement, so we can give them to the buyer. And obviously, got some financial considerations which you'll need to discuss with an accountant or a solicitor, because you got capital. There's capital gains tax. There's also some fees, and there's mortgage discharge fees, agents' commissions, conveyancer fees. And obviously, you got stamp duty you have to think of. There's quite a few different fees and charges that you do need to be aware of before the time comes, though you don't look at your bank account and you're missing $50,000 or something like that. The biggest thing I'm going to say to look out for is obviously take into consideration the stamp duty. That's a big one. And if it is an investment property, the capital gains tax, you will need to get your conveyancer to get a form so that the buyer doesn't have to withhold that. Otherwise, they have to withhold a decent amount of money, which you don't want. You want to be able to hang on to that until you have to pay it to the tax department. So managing procedures from the sale. So obviously consider consulting a financial advisor to decide what's best to do with the money, obviously, such as paying off debts, mortgage loans, to avoid any financial complications, and obviously allocate some funds to moving expenses, future investments, and any other personal financial goals. So that's something obviously you need to discuss with a financial advisor, but it's something that obviously I've just mentioned here, so it sparks a little light in your head, and you do have a think about it, and do that. So here, this is obviously like why choose Bribie on real estate. So we're a small family business that prides ourselves on personalized service that the bigger companies just can't offer. And the reason behind that is obviously they're more of a corporation rather than a small family business. Like we're just a couple of people. Well, I shouldn't say a couple of people. So we've just got a few staff. We're a small business. You're always going to be dealing with the one person. So if you holidays, property manager, sales, whatever, you're always going to be talking to the same person, or the same couple of people. You're not just going to be led on this big rabbit hole of you got to talk to the admin, and then the next day you got to talk to somebody else. So we've got a couple of staff members. So we've got Tash and Amy here who do the permanent management. So other agencies might have 7-10 rental agents. So you're going to be talking to a different one every time. Obviously, that can lead to mistakes and so on. With our agency, you're only going to be talking to these two, so they keep on top of everything. With the holidays, we have Kayla, Mania, Sienna, and Shanae. So they'll obviously quite tight knit. So you'll always be sort of talking to the same people every time as well. And obviously with sales at the moment, you've just got me, so you're pretty much going to be every contact with sales is going to be just with me. I'm obviously the owner as well, so this is my pride and joy. So I'm pretty much going to do the absolute best job that I personally can. I've been on the island since I was 4 years old. I moved here from Warrnambool, Victoria, and I'm probably going to be here for the rest of my life. I absolutely love it. So I know the area quite well. Obviously, we offer competitive commission rates, which needs just a couple of little nice words that some of the other sellers have left for me. I mean, just the final page. So obviously, this video went on for a bit long, but I hope that you got something out of it. Thank you very much for watching.